Let's get ready to rumble!
I think we should keep that. Yes.
Hello, welcome to the Shepherd's Rest Doc Talk. This is episode 104A.
I'm Cam and this is Julie. We got a storm brewing behind us, but that's okay. We're not going to stop. This week's story portion is the last of the book of Numbers, which is crazy to think we're already about to jump into Deuteronomy.
I know. Before we know it, we're going to be back in Genesis.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Anyhow, this is a double portion, so we're actually going from Numbers 30, verse 2, to the end of the book, which is chapter 36, all the way through. To start this week, one of the things that's always talked about is the vow part, and that's in chapter 30. And speaking of when you make a vow, how to follow through on a vow, when you don't have to follow through on a vow, and it is covering, if you're a man, you stand by your vow, period. If you're a woman, you stand by your vow unless you're not allowed to in a particular circumstance. That is not to disempower a woman. It is to allow, to protect a woman and to put her within the family in the proper place. And that is like this. Not like this, not like this. It's like this. Remember? They work together. You remember when man and wife are married, they're one. So, which is why the husband has to agree to it. If you think about it, how many times have you said you're going to do something and then the spouse of either side is like, well, wait a minute, I have to do that?
Yeah.
I'm responsible for that? I didn't say I would do that. So again, it has to work as one. But what we see this week, and we talked about this last year, but I wanted to bring it up again, is when you have a woman who is out of her father's house and on her own, she's divorced, she's single, or she's widowed, she is not required to be under a man. That's not a requirement. It is a privilege, I guess you would say. Right. It is an honorable place to be. It is to have the protection of a man within a confine of a family. And these are only men within a family. It's the father of a young woman, or it is the husband of a woman. It is never a man of the town or anything else, okay? This is only in a family setting. And if you have a husband and wife, again, you're one. If you're a father and daughter, he has a protection over you, of course. I mean, that's the way it's set up. They are to protect you. You're under his umbrella. Therefore, he has absolute authority to be able to say, yes, you can do that, or no, you can't, because he becomes accountable for your actions.
Right. It's to show the spiritual reality.
Right.
Of the Lord who is over us. He's our Father, our Yeshua, our husband, who can tell us, no, that's not a good vow. You're not, accountable for that.
And how awesome when we find out it's not a good vow that we're not still compelled or to do it. We are now allowed, released from it because of the wise words of a husband or a father.
Right.
Okay, when we jump to chapter 36, we see here where the daughters of Zelophehad, the men of the Manasseh tribe come to Moses and are like, look, this isn't right if they marry someone from another tribe and then they want to keep the land.
Right.
So we talked about that in past years. And so Moshe goes, Lord, he's like, absolutely right. So the daughters of Zelophehad have to marry within their same tribe. Now, I thought this would be interesting to look at when we see that this is all happening in the tribe of Manasseh. Well, when we go back into last week's Torah portion in 27, we saw that we have of Manasseh, of Maker, and then we have, these are the, Zelophehad is from that, now from that line. The reason why this is important is because when you get to Genesis 50, you see that Maker, I'm probably not saying it right, it's M-A-K-I-R, Maker was the child who grew up on Joseph's knee.
Right.
So growing up on Joseph's knee says, here's someone who studied and learned the way that Joseph walked, like the Messiah.
Right.
And through Joseph teaching him how to walk, we still have a father who is walking that way and taught his daughters who want to honor his name because their father, Zelophehad, did not sin. Therefore, they are allotted in the inheritance. So when I think about this, you have almost, I would say, in honor of Joseph,
Right.
They are allowed to have an inheritance.
Yes.
Okay, doesn't this make you think of because of Messiah?
Yes.
We
have inheritance.
Yes, we have inheritance. And remember, Manasseh and Ephraim are the two who are adopted in by Jacob.
Right.
And through Ephraim, it is said that through him all the nations will come through. And those nations are the northern kingdom, right? The ones that are going to come back out, who have been sent out and have come back, okay?
Right.
Those of us who are the strangers that come back through. And that has not to do with the tribe of Ephraim, but it has to do with the kingdom, the northern kingdom.
Right.
But again, we have Manasseh who would also be in that situation. But there is no child of Ephraim's that sat on Joseph's lap, except for this one, who is from Manasseh. So, of course, it makes sense why we have Manasseh's line where they're able to come in, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And even if you look at last week's with Phineas or Pincus, whichever way you say it, we have him coming into a role of being a priest where he shouldn't have done that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That wasn't his, but yet he was brought in through the mercy of the Lord. Here we have these through this family brought in through the mercy of the Lord. I love it when you go back and look.
Everything's
they give
there
us
for a reason.
Yes, and they give us the lineage. They give us these names so that we can see and understand the bigger picture of how we too get to come in.
Yes.
And I just had this thought that also lines up with the fact that here we have 5 women with no man over them.
Oh, yes.
They all stand independently of their own accord.
And that like just the 5 virgins.
Yeah. Oh, you said that. That was so good.
Last night at our Bible study, it's like the 5, you have the 5, the 5 righteous and the 5 unrighteous, I guess, that aren't prepared.
Yeah.
So these women are prepared, and they came before him and said, hey, what about us? Our father, died. And he was not in the sin of Korah, and the Lord's like, absolutely, I'm not a respecter of persons. I don't know. It just made me think of the 5 virgins.
Well, yeah, and on that, the fact that their father hadn't sinned. I mean, it's not that they're going in on their father's coattails, but had he sinned, it would have been like, your family has no inheritance.
And because Yeshua didn't sin, we get to inherit.
Yes, I mean, when she said that last night, I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah. Kim has a black cloud over her head.
I feel like Pigpen from Charlie Brown. I just need my blanket. Okay, so before that cloud does anything, here come the rain. Here come the rain. All right. Anyway,
that's hilarious.
Continuing on. I know. Continuing on.
Look at the cloud over Kim's head.
Okay, stop it. Look, let's go to chapter 35 real quick. And if we look at 35, 3 through 5, we look at the city. These are the Levite cities, right, that are given to the Levites, okay? In verse 5, what it says is that it's explaining how you have the city that the Levites get, and then there's the land outside that, then the land outside there. And this year when I saw it, and if I'd said it before, I didn't remember. That happens a lot. I was like, oh my gosh, is this like eternity? We have New Jerusalem, then we have those who are outside, then we have those who are on the outside, right? They can't come in. Because during eternity, we have those who don't live in the city, but they can come in and out. Then you have those who are on the outside who can't even come in. I mean, they're just...
Wouldn't those be the lepers?
Well, yeah, like that. They're called those the abomination, they've got the list of them. Anyway, so when I saw that in verse 5 of 35, and it says, you shall measure outside the city, and it's 1,000, 1,000 cubits all the way around. And then you have the outside of the city, the walls 1,000, then outside that 2,000. So it gets bigger.
Okay.
And then, anyway, I just thought, how much does this reflect eternity? How much is this reflecting the size? And here is my thought. This is just a cam thought.
Okay.
Those who call upon the Lord. The Lord says, for anyone who calls upon me, right, none will perish. Meaning they have everlasting life. John 3:16, right? Everlasting life. That just means that you have everlasting life. You don't go to hell. Idea, right?
Right. Okay.
But it doesn't show what your role is, or even that you have a role in the kingdom.
Right. Get you in the door.
Yes. So my thought was 2,000 cubits all the way around the city is a big area.
Okay.
We know that the wide road and then the narrow road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me go, wow. So I wonder how big the actual city is. And we know New Jerusalem's huge.
Right, right.
But wouldn't it be interesting thought process in following the patterns also that remnant that's inside, while huge, because remember, it's all of mankind.
Right,
that is in eternity.
7,000 years.
So you have in those who are the closest, those who walk that enter. Then you have those who are able to come in and out. And by the way, you have black cloud over you too now. Able to come in and out, okay?
Uh-huh.
And then those who just called on the name and did nothing else.
You're rubbing off on me. This is what happens when you get too close.
Anyway, so then, I just wonder if it's going to be a really large population out there. And I never thought about that with the wide and the narrow. I mean, you think about the wide has so many, but you don't think about, I guess the reason why we think, oh, well, wide means they're out of there. It's not even an option. No, it's still an option of eternal life.
Yes.
It's what's your function in the kingdom.
Right.
And so I don't know why. The 2,000 on the outside just made me go, that's a really big area. Wow, is that how large of an area in eternity, the bulk of the area that can't, yes, they're in eternity, but they just can't interact like they wanted to.
Right.
I don't know. Just something I saw this week that I thought.
Very good.
All right. Okay, I'm not sure if we talked about this before. I think so, but it was something I heard that Rabbi Richmond said years ago, and it really made an impact on me. So we'll just talk about it real quick. And that is in chapter 33 this week, where it's the travelings of Israel. Each stop, I can't remember off the top of my head, 40, 42 stops. Each stop, they learn something. There's something being taught. Even though we don't see all of the lessons, we see some of the highlight lessons, but we don't see them all. And the Lord is, He's still reminding them that these were stops we had, whether they were personal, as a nation, or all of it together.
Milestones.
Yes, milestones. Each one is what took them a step closer to entering the land.
Right.
And there's a midrash about while in the womb that we have these milestones where we're, every week getting closer and closer to having the Torah taught to us while in the womb, and then accepting it or not accepting it. Accepted, that means your life then goes in to a series of these steps, the 40 or 42 milestones.
Right.
In which on that journey you will find Torah. Because
and
you already said
land.
yes. Yes, and into the land, which would take us into the kingdom.
Right.
And I just love that thought, because even though we might read through this and go, oh, it's I don't get it. Why do you have all this on here? Who cares? Who cares where they went?
I have a question.
Yes.
Before you get too far. So would the ones who say no to Torah be likened to the ones who died in the wilderness?
Oh, that's a great
make
question.
It into the land.
I would say with the pattern, I would think
so
that would be.
Everybody's given the chance.
Right.
Whether you're in this group, this denomination, that denomination, everybody's given a chance. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's, do you accept the living God or do you not?
Right. He just made you.
Yes.
Are you going to bite the hand that just made you,
right,
or not? Now, you would have some people go, oh, well, then that means it's fate. I don't know. I'm not getting that argument.
No, you still have the choice.
Right. You had the choice to begin with, and I'm not going to go there. But my point is that I love the thought that we have this journey in life in which we'll hit all these landmarks, and we can accept it back here, wherever it's going to take us into, like you said, into the kingdom, into eternity, to be with the Maker who created us.
Right.
We're going to be back with Him again, right where we wanted to be, where we're safe in the womb and just in a wonderful, nice place.
Yes.
Not like we remember it, but somewhere subconsciously we do.
And I love it because this week's Haftorah is Jeremiah 1 and 2, which Jeremiah 1 is where he says, I formed you in the womb, I knew you. So I love that we're talking about this because it goes right along with the Haftorah.
Yeah. So the rain is starting. We still have another half to film. And if you notice the dark clouds moving back over her more. So while I have other things I can talk about, we're going to cut it short. We thank you very much for joining us this week. And we hope that you have better weather than we do. And we will see you on the flip side with the prophets. Shalom.
Hey, that made me think, flat earthers, right? What if they're just ahead of their time? What if that's part of the eternal when heaven comes to earth? everything goes like this, everything goes like this, and it just comes together, and it just
oh my gosh, Julie, I don't know. That'd be really interesting.
Well, it made me think of that. I'm like, well, okay, so I'm imagining a round earth, and then I'm thinking, wait, a new heaven and a new earth. It's the same heaven and earth. It just looks different. It functions different. It is different because
hold on.
The circle can't. They can't come together, right?
Okay, well, yeah, but here's my thought too on that. If you flatten, then you have Jerusalem literally can be the center.
Yeah.
You don't,
and it'll function like they did in the desert,
right?
Flat, not all over. But that'll be after the millennium when there's a new heaven and a new earth.
Yeah, that's a fantastic thought.